Shout out to these guys in the comments that recommended this video.
Same person.
I tried to include everybody I could. I did use like Tapology's top 100 hardest hitters rankings. I also added a few people that I thought myself deserved to be on there. There's probably some people missing. Let me know if there was anybody missing, but this is retired, inactive and active fighters, so this is across the whole sport. I tried to include the hardest hitters in the sport, so yeah, if I've left anybody quite obvious out of here, I'm really sorry, but let me know. We'll start with the tiers. We've got chicken salad as always. We've got A, B, C, and then we've got Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz, just no power is my reasoning for putting that there. Here we've got roughly about 24 fighters, I think. Again, like I said, I have used Tapology's top 100 hardest hitters rankings. I've watched a couple of YouTube videos just to scoop up any names that people were putting on their list that I hadn't put on mine, just to ensure that I didn't miss anybody. But yeah, ultimately people like Anderson Silva on this list, and I guess I will start with Anderson Silva. Where the fuck is he, bro? Oh, here he is. Anderson Silva. I'm going to put him in Nate Diaz. Now, this is why, because I can explain how I'm going to do this. Every single person on this list is in the list of the hardest hitters in the UFC. So just because somebody's in Nate Diaz doesn't mean that they're not a hard hitter. If there wasn't a hard hitter, they wouldn't be on this list. So yeah, Anderson Silva, I feel like, same with a couple of guys on this list, he's more timing and speed. He's more accuracy as well. You know, sniper would find the chin, where a lot of other guys in that era couldn't. So I'm going to put him in Nate Diaz because I think he's one of the weaker punchers on this list. A lot of these guys have legit one-shot knockout power. Anderson Silva obviously knocked a couple of people out, like Forrest Griffin and stuff. But it wasn't like a one-punch KO. It was more of a TKO. And not only was it more of a TKO, it was more of a accuracy, speed kind of thing, timing over power. Next, we're going to go with Stipe Miocic. I'm going to put him in C tier. Stipe definitely has power, but again, I feel like Stipe is more accuracy, volume, definitely has big time power, but he's a heavyweight. That's also something I have to consider for this list. You know, how do I hold heavyweights compared to the other weight classes? Because obviously a lot of the heavyweights naturally are big punchers, but I didn't put too many heavyweights on here, and I will try and rank them fairly, but ultimately, you know, what can I do? Out of all the heavyweights on this list, I think Stipe probably has the least amount of power. Obviously still has a power punch on him, still dropped multiple people, you know, finished DC with a flurry of punches, wasn't really a KO, but you know what I mean. Hurt many people, knocked out Fabricio Verdum, so you know, has a few decent knockout wins on his record, but I wouldn't describe Stipe as like a one-punch knockout artist, or not even as a power puncher. I think he's selective with his power punches. It's more of an accuracy, volume, cardio, and just being better than the other heavyweights, to be honest. Next, we're going to go with Tom Aspinall. I'm going to put him in A tier. He just went in on 2 weeks' notice and KO'd Sergey Pavlovich. He's also pretty much finished every single person that he hasn't submitted. He's knocked out, essentially TKO'd. I don't think he's been to the decision once in the UFC, but correct me if I'm wrong. But big time power in his hands. Dropped Marcin Tybura, has dropped multiple people, you know, hurt pretty much everybody that he's fought at some point, you know, very fast. Again, knocked out probably one of the biggest punches in the whole roster. Obviously, again, a heavyweight, so depends how much you value that. Robbie Lawler. I would probably put in C tier behind Stipe. Again, definitely has power, but I feel like Robbie Lawler, you couldn't really describe him as like a one-punch KO artist. Maybe years ago, I don't know. Robbie Lawler's a hard one. I don't think he deserves to be near the top of this list, so I'm going to keep him where he is at C tier, but I might rearrange a few people at the end if I'm not happy with where they sit. Next, we're going to go with Cody Garbrandt. I'm going to put him in B tier. Obviously, wicked knockout over Sunsao or Almeida, one of those fucking two. I can't even remember who it was. He's beat both of them, but I'm pretty sure it was a Sunsao, that lean-in right hook off the cage. You know what? I'm going to put him in C tier. Big puncher, but in a division where there is other big punchers, and bantamweight, 135 pounds, those guys don't weigh very much, and a lot of them are still putting one-punch knockout power together and KOing people, you know, so I'm going to put him in C tier. And talking about bantamweight and KOing people, I'm going to put Sean O'Malley at the top at A tier. Again, he's a bit more like Anderson, actually B tier. He's a bit more like Anderson Silva. It's more of a accuracy / timing / speed thing with him, I think, but he has shut people's lights out. You know, he did what he did to Eddie Wineland. He has hurt multiple people with his shots, but he's also kind of not hurt people with his shots, you know. I know Moutinho may be a bad example because that guy just had a mad chin, but you know, there's a few people that he hasn't been able to finish and put away. He did drop Aljo recently, so that definitely puts him up this list. Otherwise, I'd have maybe put him in low B tier, C tier, but he's high B tier, maybe even low A tier. We'll see how it goes. Next, we're going to go with Jamal Hill. I'm going to put him in A tier behind Tom Aspinall. Definitely has good power, underrated, very underrated fighter, I think. And I think he's basically on track to upset a lot of people when he fights Alex. I could probably see him beating Alex. He does loop his shots a little bit, and he is a little bit wild on the defense, kind of bends at the hip and throws his head around. Pause. But I wish the best for Jamal Hill. I really like watching him as a fighter, and he has got big power. You know, he KO'd Johnny Walker, which isn't necessarily a huge accomplishment because Johnny Walker's chin isn't the best, but you know, when he hits people, it looks like it fucking hurts him. You know, Glover was absolutely busted up. So, A tier for Jamal Hill. Next, we will go with Hendo. Now, Dan Henderson is hard to rank for me, but weight class relevant, I would put him in A tier. You know, in that sort of the middleweight, you know, middleweight, light heavyweight, not even really light heavyweight. We'll say middleweight. Massive power, you know, put so many guys out with that H-bomb. I think he deserves the A spot. And on most of these top 10 lists, Dan Henderson was quite far down, but he was still on there. I think when you're doing these weight class relevant kind of things, he has to go higher because there are big punches in middleweight, and we'll get to that. But if you look at this list down here, there aren't many middleweights on here. You know, you've got a couple of them, but Dan Henderson was throwing. He was slanging meat. I'm sorry about that. Next, we'll go with Justin the Highlight Gaethje. I'm going to put him in B tier at the front. Obviously, knocked out James Vick, knocked out Barboza, has a few good KOs on his resume, knocked out Poirier recently with the head kick. But we're kind of talking punches. So the Poirier, if he'd have knocked Poirier out with a punch, I'd have probably put him straight at A tier. But obviously, not taking anything away from his knockout, it was still amazing. But yeah, Gaethje hasn't kind of one shot put someone out in a little while, but he does have power. Everybody he fights gets absolutely punched up. You know, Fiziev, Ferguson, he changed Ferguson's whole career, you know. He's got career-changing power. You know, you go through a war with Gaethje, you don't come out the same. So definitely high B tier. You could maybe even put an argument in there to get him up one tier to A tier, but yeah, I wouldn't. I'd probably put him in B. Next, we'll go with Alistair Overeem. I'm going to put him in B tier for a heavyweight. Great record in kickboxing, great record in MMA. Did hit hard, but was more of like an accumulative striker. Did have a couple of one-shot knockouts on his record, especially in kickboxing. But for a heavyweight, when you compare him to some of these other guys on this list, I would put him in B tier. Speaking of heavyweight, we've got Shane Carwin. I'm going to put Shane Carwin in S tier, or chicken salad, I should say. Shane Carwin was like, you know, the Deontay Wilder of fucking MMA. Like, he would touch guys with these tiny, short, little straights, a little jab, anything, and these, you know, people would just fall over dead. So Shane Carwin definitely deserves to be up there. I would put him as the first fighter in chicken salad. Not sure if I said this already, but I'm reserving chicken salad for the top 3 fighters. So there'll only be 3 fighters in chicken salad. Next, we're going to go with Mark Ant. I would put him in A tier, and I would put him at the front. More power than Aspinall, I think. More of a one-shot knockout artist. Obviously, so many walk-off KOs. The only reason I wouldn't put him in chicken salad is because I think there's at least 2 fighters left in here that would go over him. So I'll put him in A tier, but taking nothing away from Mark Hunt. Another heavyweight will go JDS. I will put him behind Aspinall, I think. Maybe in front of Aspinall. Aspinall's a bit more well-rounded. JDS was a boxer. He was a puncher. So I'll value it a little bit more. I'll put him in front of Aspinall. And tell you what, I'll put Hendo in front of Jamal Hill because, again, weight class relevant. Next, we're going to go with Chuck the Iceman Liddell. I think he goes in A tier as well. To be honest, I think I'd put him behind Hendo. That might be a controversial take, but I just think that he absolutely did have power, and he, you know, if you were going to lose to him, you were most likely getting knocked out. So he definitely deserves to be on this list. And I'd say he deserves to be in A tier, but I don't know if I could put him above people like Mark Hunt, JDS, you know, stuff like that. So I'll put him I'll put him in A tier, bit at the back. Next, we'll go with Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis we'll put in S tier as well. Obviously, that comeback win against Volk is like every big puncher's wet fucking dream, like to be so far down on the scorecards and then boom, one overhand, puts him straight down, finishes him off. You know, Derek Lewis has huge power. I might move him out of S if I think somebody else deserves to go in there, which looking at it, they might do, to be honest. So he might get pushed out of S at the front of A, but for now, we're going to put him in S tier. Next, we'll go with Sergey Pavlovich. I'm going to put him at the front of A. He might even go over Lewis. I don't know, because he hurt Tai Tuivasa with a jab, and Tai Tuivasa does have a chin, so maybe this isn't the fairest statement to make, but it did take him like a couple of knockdowns to get him out of there. Somebody like Derek Lewis, although he did get finished by Tai, I feel like if Derek Lewis landed some of the heavy shots that Pavlovich was landing on Tai Tuivasa, he probably would have put him out. He also cracked Tom Aspinall hard and didn't put him away. Tom Aspinall cracked him back probably just as hard, and Pavlovich went down. So that, to me, screams like a power difference. Maybe you disagree, but yeah, front of A tier for Pav. Next, we'll go with, who the fuck is that guy? I put him at the front of A tier, actually, because, again, weight class relevant. Big power on Jeremy Stephens, you know. He is a big puncher, especially for featherweight. I would put him in A tier. And to be honest, let's get McGregor straight in there as well. And I would put McGregor like around here somewhere. At featherweight, where the power carried much heavier, I would probably put him S tier if we were doing like a biggest punches in featherweight tier list. But lightweight, again, with Conor, it's more timing, it's more speed, it's more accuracy, it's more, you know, landing those shots that they don't see coming, but he definitely has power, so I'd put him in A tier. Yeah. Next, we're going to go with Tai Tuivasa. I'll put him in B tier. Did KO and I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring Derek Lewis down there. Tai Tuivasa, I'd put him in B tier. He does have big power. You know, he finished Lewis, finished Greg Hardy, finished a few people on the feet with punches, but definitely has the power, should definitely be on this list, but makes B tier, I think. Doesn't quite get to A tier. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to bring Jamal Hill down as well, and I'm going to put him just behind Tai Tuivasa, I think. Again, I don't just want to rank heavyweights too highly, but what do you want me to do? They're fucking heavyweights. Next, we've got Wanderlei Silva. I'm going to put him at the front of C tier. Could definitely make an argument for him to go in B tier. Maybe I'll move him around at the end. But again, with Wanderlei, it was violence. It was tie clinch knees. It was, you know, busting people up until they just crumble. You know, probably you probably could class him as sort of a one-shot KO artist, but not like he wouldn't come in, throw an overhand right and knock people out. You know, or not in the big fights of his career anyway. So I'd put him in C tier. Next, we'll go with Anthony Rumble Johnson. I'm going to put him in chicken salad, rest in peace. One of the biggest punches. I remember, you know, one of the first cards I ever watched with my friends, and my friends actually sat down and watched it and like said, oh yeah, we'll check out the UFC card. I think it was McGregor Diaz 1, and I think Rumble fought Glover Teixeira. It might be McGregor Diaz 2, I can't remember which card. But whenever Rumble fought Glover Teixeira, and I was saying to him like, bro, this Rumble Johnson guy, dangerous, you know, don't blink. And I thought, please don't make me look stupid, Rumble. And he came straight out, uppercutted Glover and basically KO'd him in like a minute or whatever it fucking was. Shout out Rumble Johnson, man, rest in peace. Amazing fighter, definitely retired way before his time. But, you know, hindsight's 2020, you know, he wanted to chase other things. But yeah, huge puncher, especially for light heavyweight. You know, we've got people like Jamal Hill at light heavyweight. He is nowhere near the power of Rumble, so I'm glad I kind of moved Jamal Hill down to B tier, although I do rate Jamal Hill very highly. Don't get it twisted. Rampage Jackson, I'd probably put in B tier. Big puncher, scary puncher, you know, but as big of a puncher as like Pavlovich, Mark Hunt, Stephens for his weight class, you know, Derek Lewis, I don't think so. Definitely a big puncher though. Could probably argue to put him in A tier, but I'll leave him in B. Next we've got Fedor Emelianenko. I'm going to put him in A tier behind Mark Hunt, I think. Obviously plenty of KO on his resume, plenty of KOs on his resume, plenty of subs as well, you know. Amazing fighter, you know, I could talk about Fedor all day, but very well rounded. You know, a lot of his wins did come from big shots on the feet with punches, but you know, he was a much more of an MMA fighter than like some of these guys like Mark Hunt, Pavlovich, Derek Lewis, Rumble Johnson, Shane Carwin. Well, Shane Carwin's a bit of a bad example, but the rest of them are like predominantly just boxers, just big punches. So I would put Fedor a little bit further down. Next, we've got Alex Pereira. Now, I didn't put Alex Pereira. Let me explain myself, okay? I made a video, right? A best kickboxers in the UFC tier list, and I put Volk over Alex Pereira in the chicken salad tier, and people lost their fucking minds. I got told I don't know shit about fighting. I got like 7 comments saying, bro, Alex, did you not know Alex is the double glory champ? One guy even called me fat. Bro, what? Why are you doing this to me, bro? For the record, I'm 80 pounds down, so I know I'm a bit chubby, right? But leave me alone. All jokes aside, I could have put Alex above Volk, no problem. I could have slept fine with that. I just decided to put Volk over Alex. Number 1, because I knew everybody would comment and go crazy about it. But number 2, because this is an MMA kickboxing tier list. These are MMA tier lists, bro. I'm not talking about kickboxing. And as an MMA kickboxer, I would put Volk above Alex. I'm sorry about that. I know nothing about fighting. One guy said that I've only started watching MMA last week. Everybody relax. Put your bow and arrows down. I like Alex Pereira just as much as you guys. I put Volk in front of him. I understand my mistake. I'll never upset the fucking Powhatan fans again. Let's get straight on to him. Alex Pereira, Nate Diaz. A tier behind Conor McGregor, or probably somewhere higher up. Listen, he didn't KO Yan. I know he KO'd Jiri, but people act like he clips you with his left hook and you're dead. And I know he KO'd Sean Strickland and he hurt Izzy with it. But he does have power. Don't get it twisted. He's not S tier, so miss me with all that. I know Alex Pereira is the flavour of the month, but I wouldn't put him at S tier. Who I would put at S tier is Francis Ngannou, and I'd put him in front of Shane Carwin. Probably a little bit unfair to rank Francis Ngannou as high as I have because he's a heavyweight, but he's literally like, it's been proven, you know, by that fucking stupid test machine in the UFC PI that he's literally like one of the hardest punchers that's ever lived, pretty much. Probably, you know, Joe Louis, Mike Tyson, whoever you want to say, whoever else you want to throw in that basket with him, but Francis Ngannou I definitely think is chicken salad. That's it. Thank you very much for watching. I am spamming the tier list right now. I apologize, but I'm just trying to play the algorithm a little bit, trying to get my channel in front of some new eyes. So apologies for the tier list spam. I have been uploading other stuff, but they're just not doing as well. So just trying to grow my channel a little bit. But more videos coming soon. And also, if you've been watching the other videos on this channel, you'll notice that this is a completely new setup. I finally have the lighting. I finally have the new camera. I have everything. So I just need to sort the wall in the background out, make it look a bit nicer, make it a little bit more MMA related. But yeah, this Saturday for the Arman Saryukian Benil Dariush card, I will be streaming. So if you see me live on Saturday, pop in, say hello. I'm also going to be doing a Q&A sort of thing for 500 subs. I'm not sure if anybody wants to know anything at all, but if you're still watching this video and you do want to ask me a question, whether it's about the sport, what I think of a fight, whatever it is, you know, I do not mind. Something completely unrelated to MMA, it's all good. I just want to do a 500 sub special. Even if I have 3 questions, that's good enough for me, bro. But yeah, thank you so much, everybody watching. Really appreciate it. Sorry I look like a bit of a hood rat in this fucking video. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching. New mic as well, so I don't have to shout. My name's Harry. I talk about fights. Bang, there's a picture of Tyron Woodley in fucking Mario Kart.